Shavua Tov, friends. In the spirit of the month of Av and a week before Tisha B'Av, I would like to share with you a story that resonates, its message at least, resonates through the generation until our generation today. It's a story of a famous sage from the Talmud, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was teaching Torah to small children, to young children, at a time where the Roman Empire was ruling in Judah, and at the time where there was a decree against anyone that would learn or would teach Torah. Rabbi Akiva, disregarding this decree of the Romans, and decided to gather a group of young children to teach them the ancient oral tradition. One of his friends, Papus ben Yehuda, which saw him teaching the young children, was shocked and told him, Akiva, aren't you afraid of the government? Aren't you afraid of what they will do to you? Don't you know that there's a decree and one is not allowed to teach or to learn Torah at this time? Rabbi Akiva told him, let me answer you with a parable. A fox walks along the border of the water, and he sees fishes swimming in all directions. And as the fish swim in all directions, the fox tells them, dear fish, friends, what are you doing? Why are you swimming in all directions and panicking? The fish answer him, don't you see the nets of the human beings, of the fishermen that are trying to catch us, that are trying to take a hold of us? The fox says, oh, well, what's the problem? Why don't you come up on the land and we could live together like our ancestors used to be, together on this dry land? The fish answered to the fox and says, are you the animal that is called the wisest animal of all? You are not a wise animal. You are a fool. If in our natural environment we may have a chance to live or not, but in our outside of our environment on earth, we definitely don't have a chance to live. The parable was directed to the Torah. Learning of the Torah is essential. It's the natural state of every Jew. Whether we are learning everyday Torah, or we learn it once a week, or we learn it once a month, or you might be watching this video now, or listening to the Rabbi on Shabbat morning. We all understand that the Torah itself is Torat Chaim, is our life, is our natural state, is where we refine ourselves. Whether it's through the stories of the Torah, whether it's through the laws of the Torah, whether it's the weekly parasha. Every single Jew has a part of this Torah. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we identify ourselves as Jews. The Holy Torah. This is one of the reasons, by the way, that out of respect, when the Torah comes in front of us, we stand up, we look at it, we cherish it. When we open the ark, we kiss the Torah of our love to this beautiful gift that God gave us. The Torah itself, as Rabbi Akiva says, is the water. Oy kol hatzameh lechu lamayim, as the Prophet says, whoever is thirsty, go and seek water. And this specific context, water means the Torah itself, because it's our livelihood, it's who we are, it's our life, it's our energy, it's what gives us life. Torat Chaim, as the Torah says, as our sages teach us. And here specifically Rabbi Akiva says that the fish says, if we are inside the water and we're learning Torah, we have a chance. maybe the nets will catch us, maybe they won't. But if we come out of our natural environment, when we get on the dry land, when we leave the Torah, when we have no more water, we are doomed for sure. I've recently been following some of the debates. Reminds me a little bit of what was going on in some of the debates in Israel about stopping certain aid that the people that learn in Kollel, the people that learn Torah all day in Israel, in order to stop their assistance that they get, to encourage them to go into the marketplace. And I've had this discussion with my wife and other people as well, where they ask my opinion about this, whether people should be allowed to sit all day, allowed in being financially assisted by the government, the Israeli government, and sitting all day and learning Torah. Is it normal for a person to sit all day and learn Torah and to be assisted by other people and not go work himself? Should all the load of work rest upon his wife and other people? Friends, and I know some of you have asked me this question. I've received a few emails. There's been a heated debate now in Israel for a few days. Friends, I'm not sure of the answer. There are opinions for both sides. Yes, of course, people should be encouraged of going to a working environment, to not live in poverty, to do for their own household, and to bring bread and butter to their children. But one thing I do know is that Torah, as I mentioned, is what keeps us alive. And there are people that want to dedicate their lives, like other people that want to dedicate their lives for science, for other studies, for people that want to dedicate their life for the learning of the Torah, is what it's very commendable, first of all. And the Torah as a security for us, for the Jewish people, as we have people learning Torah and sitting and learning Torah all day, every day, 24/7, as it says in the Talmud, that God made a covenant with heaven and earth. As long as people learn Torah, and some say they want to explain this, the reason why there's 24 hours in the day, that in one part of the world it's night and the other part it's day, so there will be constant learning Torah 24/7, all day, every day. When one part of the world is resting, the other part, there's another part, somewhere in another part of the world, someone learning Torah. That's the covenant that God made with heaven and earth. That's the covenant that God made with us as we keep this identity as Jews, and strengthening the study of Torah. Last week, and at the beginning of this week, last week we lost one of our members, Naim Katan, and yesterday was his burial, and unfortunately I was not able to be there physically, but we were listening to the testimonial of some of his friends and family, especially of Emmanuel, how he himself inculcated this idea, his love to his people and his love to the Torah, and the way he inculcated to his children is something that is very commendable, something that must resonate with each and one of us in order to guarantee, in order to have a continuation, us as a people, whether we live in the land of Israel or we live outside of the land of Israel, or even more so if we live outside of the land of Israel, what gives us our strength and our identity is the study of Torah. So now, as we approach Tisha B'Av, and as we approach a day which is probably the most devastating day of our Jewish history, I encourage you, friends, to find a time. It doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be halachot. It doesn't have to be laws. It could be the Torah. It could be the Talmud. It could be a Mishnah. It could be a Psalm. It could be anything. Connect. If you're connecting, reconnect. Learn deeper. Learn something from the Torah, something about your Jewish heritage, something about Jewish wisdom. The Torah is so full of ancient wisdom that could resonate with you and that is very pertinent even today in our lives and even in our modern lives. If you delve in and you listen in closely to what the message, I am sure that you will find something that you could connect to. Such a wellspring of wisdom. Take a time to learn 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes a month, anything, and inculcate it to your children, to your grandchildren, so we can continue being connected to our Torah Chaim, to the life, the wellspring of wisdom, to all of Jews together. And finally, as Tisha B'Av arrives, may we see the building of the third Bet HaMikdash, the third temple in Jerusalem, united together. I bless you and wish you all the good things to you and your family. Have a healthy and happy summer.